The room went quiet the second my dad said it. "You're not a kid anymore." He didn't raise his voice. He didn't slam his hand on the table. He just said it calmly, like he was commenting on the weather. Then he took a sip of his water and added, almost casually, "So you have two options." We were sitting at the dining table, the same table where I used to spread out my homework, the same table where birthdays meant cake and laughter. Now it felt smaller, tighter, like the walls had moved closer just to hear what would happen next. "You can move into the guest room," he continued, "or you can move out." My mom didn't look at me. She kept cutting her food into small, careful pieces like this was a normal conversation, like we were discussing furniture, not my place in this house. The guest room. The room for visitors, for people passing through, for relatives who didn't belong long enough to unpack fully. I was 24. I had moved back home after losing my job. It was supposed to be temporary. They had said that. Take your time, get back on your feet. Apparently, my time was up. "I've been staying in my old room," I said carefully. My voice sounded distant, even to me. My mom finally looked up. Her expression was tight. "That room isn't yours anymore," she said. "Your sister needs it when she visits." My sister, who lived 3 hours away, who came by once every few months, who still had her childhood photos on the walls like she had never left. "And," my dad added, "it's time you stopped acting like this is permanent." Permanent. I worked 2 jobs since moving back. I paid rent, I bought my own groceries, I cleaned up after myself, I stayed out of their way, I didn't bring friends over, I didn't complain. But none of that seemed to matter. "You're not a kid anymore," my dad repeated. "Adults don't live with their parents." The irony almost made me laugh. My sister was 30 and still had a key to the house. She showed up unannounced, she borrowed money, she still called this place home. But somehow, I was the one who didn't belong. "So, those are my choices?" I asked quietly. "Guest room or leave?" My mom nodded. "We're just being honest." Honest. That word hurt more than the ultimatum, because honesty would have been admitting they had already decided. This dinner wasn't a discussion, it was a notification. I pushed my chair back slowly. My hands were shaking under the table, but I kept my face calm. "When do you want me out?" My dad hesitated for just a second. "Soon, a few days." A few days to pack up my life again. "I'll figure it out," I said. No one stopped me when I walked upstairs. No one followed me. No one knocked on my door. I sat on my bed and looked around a room that suddenly felt borrowed. That night, I didn't sleep. Every sound the house made felt like a countdown. Guest room or move out? They thought those were my only 2 options. They had no idea I was already thinking about a third. I didn't sleep much that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard my dad's voice again. "You're not a kid anymore." Over and over, like growing up meant shrinking inside your own home. By morning, I had made my decision. I wasn't moving into the guest room. That room wasn't a compromise. It was a message. You're temporary. You're tolerated. You don't belong. I went downstairs early before anyone else woke up. I made coffee, wiped down the counters, loaded the dishwasher. Muscle memory. Years of trying to prove I deserved space in a house I had grown up in. My mom walked in while I was drying my hands. "So," she said carefully, "have you thought about it?" "Yes." Her shoulders relaxed slightly. "Good. The guest room is already cleaned. I'm moving out. She blinked. What? I'll be out within the week, I said, probably sooner. Her expression hardened. You don't need to be dramatic. We're offering you a room. You're offering me less, I replied quietly, and calling it generosity. My dad walked in just then, coffee mug in hand. He listened as my mom explained, adding comments about how I was being sensitive and misunderstanding their intentions. Finally, he looked at me. Where are you even going to go? That was the part I hadn't fully figured out yet. But for the first time in months, the uncertainty felt lighter than staying. I'll figure it out, I said. They exchanged that look parents give when they're convinced their child is making a mistake they'll regret. I packed that afternoon, not angrily, not loudly, just steadily. Clothes into boxes, books into bags. I didn't take everything. Some things didn't feel worth carrying anymore. My sister's trophies stayed on the shelf in my old room. No one suggested moving them. On the third day, my mom stood in the doorway while I folded my last pile of clothes. You know, she said carefully, most people would be grateful we're letting them stay. I looked at her, really looked at her. Most parents wouldn't make their kid feel like a burden. She scoffed. You're twisting things. Maybe. Or maybe this was the first time I wasn't twisting myself to fit. That night, I slept on the floor, surrounded by boxes. I had already given the bed back to the house. The next morning, I loaded my car. My dad stood on the porch, arms crossed. No hug, no call when you get there. Just silence. As I pulled away, I waited for the guilt to hit, the panic, the urge to turn around and apologize for existing. It didn't come. Instead, there was something else. Relief. I moved into a tiny studio across town. Bare walls, cheap furniture, a mattress on the floor. But it was mine. No guest room, no conditions, no quiet reminders that I didn't belong. The first night there, the silence felt different. Not heavy, not tense, just still. I didn't realize how much I had been holding my breath until I finally exhaled. Weeks passed. They didn't call much. When they did, it was surface-level conversation. Weather, work, nothing real. And the farther I got from that house, the easier it became to breathe. Then small things started to crack. One evening, my mom called, frustration sharp in her voice. "Did you take the folder with the insurance papers?" "No," I said. "It's in the blue drawer, bottom shelf." There was a pause. Oh, she hadn't known. A week later, my dad texted asking how to log into the streaming account, then about the Wi-Fi router, then about a bill he didn't understand. I answered politely, briefly, like a guest. That's when I realized something. They didn't miss me. They missed what I did. The silent fixing, the remembering, the emotional cushioning. One Sunday, my mom said it quietly. "The house feels different." "Yeah," I replied. "It does." She hesitated. "You could come over for dinner sometime. Use your old room." My old room. Not your room. Not your home. "I'm busy," I said. And for once, it wasn't a lie. Life had filled in faster than I expected. Friends who noticed when I went quiet. A job that didn't treat me like an inconvenience. Even solitude felt kinder than being tolerated. A month later, my sister called. "They're saying you've changed," she said, "that you're distant." "I am," I replied. She laughed awkwardly. "You'll get over it." "No," I said softly. "I got through it." The final moment came on a random Tuesday. My dad called. His voice wasn't as firm as it used to be. "Your mom's been upset," he said. "She thinks maybe we were too harsh." Maybe. I waited. "Well," he asked, "don't you want to talk about it?" I did. Just not the way he expected.
I've built a life where I don't feel like I'm asking permission to exist, I said. I'm not giving that up. Silence stretched between us. I hope you're happy, he finally said. I am, and I meant it. They never fully apologized, not directly, but they stopped offering the guest room, they stopped giving ultimatums. For the first time, they spoke to me like someone who could leave and stay gone. Not out of anger, out of self-respect. Sometimes growing up isn't about proving you're not a kid anymore. Sometimes it's about realizing you were never asking for too much in the first place. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away and choose yourself.